So at any rate, we're on top of this. So this was day one. This is what we found.
Okay.
Now that looks pretty bad. All right, so the plywood, everything, there's a hole.
Yeah.
You know, now this is all on the dome, and Teresa was like, we have all these paintings on the ceiling in
yes,
there.
we have all the beautiful.
So, you know, I'm like, okay. But the deal is, it rotted the plywood out. The plywood had holes in it that looked like it had torched it. So it has been leaking for a very long time. As you're walking across the roof, you see cracked tiles. You actually, there's a couple of places up by the dome. The first couple of days we had trash on the roof, we took the trash off. And there were a couple of places that you still have trash. No, those were actual holes in tile missing or holes in the tile that they covered with peel and stick, and they healed those because they weren't going to pull that roof off over here until they get to that point. So what they did was they patched they went around and found any obvious holes where we could be having leaks. So we pretty much stopped all the leaks as soon as we got up there. We did a quick look around, all temporary. This roof was built, that's a 2x10 or a 2x6 that is used on every ridge. So when the tile comes together, the tile's all like this. Well, it has to have something for that thing to, it could just sit on there, but they build a ridge. We're taking all that wood out because the wood rots. If the tile are set correctly, because the tile are wiggling all over the place, they're loose. When we get done, we're going to foam all of that in. They're not going to be moving. So a lot of the problem that you have is your tiles are moving around on your face. So even though you may not see it, they may be moving a little bit this way or this way. A big storm comes and they do this, and you get water intrusion.
So why? What happened? Why are we having the leakage?
You know, the question is, you know, without being there, it was poorly installed. Now, we have the same exact problem at St. Joseph's. Whatever method was being used back 20 years ago, there was a better method before it. Something happened in that time. Tile roofs used to last 50 years. If the roof is failing in 7 places, it's actually failing in many more places you just can't see. And that's kind of what I said in the roofs. Once a roof starts failing in multiple places, it means the roof has failed. You know, you may have a leak over here on this wall, this wall, this wall. This whole roof is all the same age. And 99.99% of the time, the same thing happened to the whole entire roof because you have the same crew, whatever technique, whatever philosophy was going on at that time, that's what happened. So
When you say 7 places, there were 7 places where it was leaking
That we could
around
see,
the church?
we counted
from
in,
below.
right, that we counted in tiles.
Where there was damage,
Right,
whatever.
already.
yeah, where
Visible.
you replaced carpet. You had places on the wall. You have obvious places now in the ceiling where you have stains.
Yes.
Where Rocko says, you know, I change the tiles out every month. You know, a couple tiles here, a couple tiles there, and over the course of a year, we change out a couple of boxes of tile. Well, you know, if you just keep on doing that for 4 or 5 years in the same places.
And that's
So-
the drop tile,
Right,
drop
that's the
ceiling
drop
you're talking
ceiling.
about
Yeah.
on the
Right,
sides
yes.
of the church and the inside.
Right.
And
And
both-
at the time of this letter, Teresa was saying to me, this is before contracts and everything were signed, Teresa was saying to me, we just got a new leak today. And I got a call from her, Mark, you know, we got a new leak and we want to move forward and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, okay. You know, because we see that it's not just the same leak, now we've got a new leak. And that's really what's happening is, in these places where you didn't have water coming in on the top deck, on this thing, you
Right.
had all that damaged
Right
plywood.
above the altar.
So you were only, whether it was a day, a month, a year, away from that ceiling showing signs of leaking, because it had, the plywood wasn't wet. The plywood had, I saw one with a hole in it about this big, and it was all black around the edges.
And that's right above the new artwork that's the, that looks
Right.
like the sky
Yes.
Yes.
above
Where
the
Joe
altar for
is.
the benefit
Yeah.
of the Christians.
And so,
That's right above. So what you're saying is very soon we would have started to see damage within the artwork itself.
Yeah.
We're waiting to change the tiles out on the inside after he's finished.
These
All the
the
drop ceiling tiles,
tiles.
because so people may be looking thinking that, how come we're not fixing those? Well, there's no reason to fix a tile that
It may
until
look
roof's
like
done.
the leak is getting worse
Worse,
to
right.
them from the inside, but we're just letting that sit so we don't waste any more money on
Exactly.
additional
Those
tiles.
tiles aren't cheap. On an average, we would change out about 3 boxes of tile every 4 months. The boxes cost us $56 a box. Every now and then we would short out a light from the water, and that's the recessed lightings you see up there. So we'd have to go up there and swap them out. We ended up having to buy scaffolding to be able to get up and down off of that. So we were doing that. The floor, we would have to clean the floor of the carpeting, and you can see it's still up by the chapel area. The floor is still stained, and the carpet stained there from where the water runs down, and you can see the water behind the paint of that wall right there up towards the chapel area where the water's leaking in. If you look up on there, that's still stained there. We've changed those tiles out quite often. Most people don't even realize we change them. They'll look up there one day, they'll be fine. The next rainstorm, they'll be stained
Is that the
immediately.
Adoration Chapel?
Yes, at the very
At the
end,
back
yeah.
of the sanctuary, right where we have the banners hanging.
Yes.
That in that area, right over those doors.
Right, exactly. And then also over on the side where the choir's at, you'll see those. There's about 4 or 5
Right.
tiles that continuously get stained. So we do that constantly. So that started it. Then we had the first hurricane come through. Major flood on the lower roofs on both sides when you first walk into the church, into the gathering area in the front, and then also right straight down the wall on both sides, going in both on the choir side and on this the other side of the church. Both sides were soaking wet. So we were in there with carpet cleaners, cleaning the carpet, trying to keep the stains out and everything else. Finally, the decision was made that the carpet just needed to go. It was too disintegrated, stinky, and everything else. We tiled the floors. We had 3 or 4 other roofing companies come through, and each time they were like, "Oh no, we just put a couple of things there, and you look at the portico on this side, on the old Jennings side, going towards
side?
Blanding, which is
Right
this
here.
side right here. I mean, not an old Jennings on the Blanding side.
oh, the Blanding
portico
side.
there. I could look up in there and almost see through the plywood. So I knew that side was rotten, and all the edgings and everything else are gone because I couldn't put the soffits back up.
Right.
They're rotted out so bad.
Well, that was the part of the thing where the water, instead of going up and over, were going in. So this little drip edge that they had there that it's attached to the fascia
Right.
was damming it. So it's creating a situation where the water was coming here
Right.
and just rolling here and just eating it away.
Rotting all the soffit edges off. We were calculating it up. If we'd have kept going the way we're going, we'd have spent more money in the next 5 years just in repairs than we're probably spending on trying to get the new roof.
That's right.
So it was a no-brainer to, hey, it's time to bite this bullet. You're either going to fix the roof or you're going to buy a new church, because if you don't fix the roof, everything else comes tumbling down anyway.
Yeah, once you get water intrusion, and you don't, when you see a leak or you see water intrusion, it's been happening for a while. It's not like it just comes in, you get a hole in the roof and then all of a sudden water comes in. It's coming down your sides. It's coming in a little bit at a time, and then a couple of storms and a little bit, and then it works its way. So then you get mold in the walls and you get there's all kind of stuff.
And it's not like it's an asphalt roof on your house where you can go up there with a bucket of tar and tire it off.
That's right.
That's not what it is. So
Right. And we're no longer in a position where we have white walls that we can repaint
Right.
either. We have this art that's new in the last few years. We really want to protect. Make
right,
sure we
and
don't
it's
have to-
beautiful. I mean,
Yes.
and the person that did that, Joe, did a lot of hard work, and he donated that time, that effort, and everything. And it's his blessings to all of us to be able to see this. And we want to treat it as such. I can't imagine seeing that damaged. I mean, it would break my heart also. And we're on track for the completion times and everything.
Yeah,
Okay. And,
I'm gonna say February, mid-March.
okay. All right.
It may be sooner. This roof will last a minimum of 30 years. The underlayment itself has a 30-year warranty on it, not to fail. And then it has, the underlayment is one thing. Now you have the flashings, and then you have the setting of the tile. If you do all those things correctly, you got a great roof.